Another ice storm just hours away.
And some areas could see a lot more than last time. The threat of downed trees and power outages is imminent. Hundreds of utility teams came from out of state to help out. Salt trucks fueled up and ready to go.
Hunkered down, prepared for the worst. The Triad braces for its second winter storm in a week.
This could be a multi-day event.
We don't know where the trees are going to fall.
We're going to do what we have to do.
The second half is coming, and we've got to get ready for the game.
WFMY News 2 at 11 starts right now.
Tonight, a state of emergency in several counties and at the state level. More winter weather is just hours away.
Our team is committed to keeping you informed and prepared, forecasting where the storm is headed and who could get the worst of it.
Power outages. Thousands of homes could be without electricity come tomorrow afternoon. And trees. What tree companies do about branches and debris in roads, yards, and homes.
We are focused on all 3 points tonight. Let's start with the latest on the storm. Tim, some areas could see half an inch of ice, and Tim, that is significant.
That's huge, yeah, and I think that would probably be on the max side of what we could see, but we need to watch for that possibility, certainly. Let's show you where the storm is now and how it's trending as it gets closer to our area. Just a couple of hours away now. I think we'll be dry through about 1 to 2 in the morning, but that's when it begins for our area. You might get excited. You see all this snow over here. Unfortunately, that will not be the case for us. We have a lot of warm air above the ground right now, which will melt those snowflakes into raindrops. Winter storm warning still in effect across the entire area except for the southern counties. Here's our futurecast. Going through 3 and 4 in the morning, we start to see this building in. It could start briefly as a little bit of rain, even mixing with a little bit of sleet, but quickly our temperature starts to drop. Why? Well, when you get rain to come down, it actually cools that temperature in the process. So we'll cool down to around 30, 29, 31, just below the freezing mark, enough that by the morning hours, ice is starting to accumulate, especially north of Asheboro. That'll continue through the midday. We could get some really heavy downpours too. If the rain comes down harder, that's actually better news for us because those big drops can't stick to the trees quite as easily as the small ones. By the afternoon, we could get a couple of breaks in the action, so it won't be quite as steady as the early morning hours will be. Here's the next few hours. We see that building in between 1 and 3 o'clock. We want you to watch out for the bridges and overpasses for that morning commute. That's your biggest threat in the morning, bridges, overpasses. If you can kind of hunker down and not have to go into work, that's your best option. Leave the roads for those that need to be out there. That's the best thing to do. By the way, we go through the middle of the day, 1 o'clock. That's when things start to get more scattered. It won't be all the time. It'll be on again, off again. And hopefully that allows us to warm up a degree or 2 to get closer to that freezing mark and put a stop to all of this. We'll talk more about those totals and what happens after the storm leaves, how the cleanup efforts are looking with the weather.
Our team is here for you through the storm. Download our free app tonight. Even if you lose power tomorrow, you can still get the latest updates.
Most Triad schools are closed tomorrow. The closures are scrolling at the bottom of your screen right now. A handful of school districts say tomorrow is a remote learning day. Guilford County is one of them. Right now, the district says students will learn online tomorrow. The same for Thomasville City and Mount Airy City schools.
Let's move now to power outages. Thousands could be in the dark tomorrow. Duke Energy predicts about 1 million outages across the Carolinas. The utility brought in teams from other states to help. 1,200 workers are ready to join the men and women who worked for days after Saturday's storm. WFMY News 2's Marissa Tanzino found out how they're recharging for round 2.
In the morning, these Duke Energy trucks staged here at the Four Seasons Mall will hit the road and get to work. But for now, they're getting some much needed rest. Some of these utility workers are coming out of one storm and heading right into another.
Plan for the worst and hope for the best. We're going to do what we have to do.
Utility crews bracing for an ugly storm. After going through it once last weekend, they're not expecting Mother Nature to go easy on them this time around.
Saturday was, I just want to say, it's probably a preview of what we're looking to get tomorrow.
Assistant Director of Electric Utilities for the city of High Point, Tyler Barrier, says after working hard to restore power over the weekend, their crews are resting, gearing up for another storm and more grueling work.
Our guys are, not looking forward to it. You're looking at working in the rain. It's 33, 32 degrees. It's raining. You're outside setting poles or working in a bucket, but it's what you have to do.
Randolph Electric CEO Dale Lambert says they're expecting 50% of their customers to lose power, and for some, it could be out for several days.
It's going to be significant, so we need to be ready from Randolph EMC side, ready to respond. But then we ask our members to be ready to endure it for a few days too.
Randolph Electric crews just returned home from helping near the Virginia border. Now they're preparing for the next round.
Even though some utilities were still working north of us to restore power, we needed our crews back on the system. So we made the call to bring them back so they'd be rested and ready to go.
Additional crews haven't just come in from out of state. Utility workers are also coming from other parts of North Carolina to help out in the Triad. Contractors from New Bern will be here to help out in High Point.
Marissa, thank you. We asked Duke Energy about responding to major ice storms back to back. There's not a lot of time to reset.
You know, this was a historic storm we had this past weekend in many respects, one of the worst ice storms that many of our crews have worked in this area in many years. And now you put another storm right on the heels of that. The crews have gotten at most a day's rest today, and then they'll be back at it tomorrow.
COVID-19 vaccine appointments are postponed in just about every Triad county. Thousands were set to get their shots tomorrow. Bad weather means they'll have to wait a little longer. Health departments and hospitals have not yet said when they will reschedule. It is not just people who will have to wait for the shot. The vaccine doses will sit in storage a little while longer. Remember these special freezers that are needed to store them? Well, some of you wondered what will happen to them if the power goes out. Well, we asked Triad hospitals and health departments, and everyone says they have backup generators to make sure the doses do not spoil. People also rushed to stores to get up supplies like generators today, but not everyone was successful. So one Triad man stepped up. Todd Gosnell of Triad Tree Pro Services is selling 45 generators to people who need them. They typically go for about $1,000. He is selling them for $800.
Moving to the root cause of so many problems, trees. The ice can put an extra 500 pounds of weight on tree limbs. That could easily uproot trees and cause a disaster for cars, homes, and power lines. Cleaning it all up can take a while, but WFMY News 2's Zalma McCarty found out there's a good reason for that.
Just days ago, ice brought down trees, across roads, into homes, and onto power lines.
The storm this past weekend, I think it kind of took a lot of people by surprise. I know it did us. We knew there was a chance of ice, but we really didn't think it was going to be that significant in the Triad.
Those in charge of clearing the tree damage and debris are ready for round 2. Greensboro's Field Operations Deputy Director Chris Marriott says nearly a dozen crews start their shifts at midnight.
That will be tree crews to clear roads, and basically we call it cut and shove. Cut the trees up, shove them out of the way, open up access for whoever needs it, but primarily emergency response vehicles.
Dispatched as needed from the operations center, it could take a while to clear the tree damage near you when you report it. Here's why.
We're going to clear those out of the way on the way to that other call. So it's not, we may not necessarily get them in the order they come in.
He also says clearing trees that have fallen on or near power lines may be delayed because power crews will need to check if they're live first.
If that means we have to wait an extra 12 hours or 6 hours for Duke Energy to tell us it is safe, then that's what we have to do.
Scott Saint-Sing of Outdoor Exposure Tree Services says if you see damage in your yard, best not to tackle that right away.
Storms come through and you're inside the house, you hear damage and you definitely know things are going on outside because you hear the limbs and trees popping and cracking, but you don't know the severity of it. So, you do need to stay inside the house, and I would wait until a professional gets there.
He says that's because it's hard to know exactly when it's safe.
With ice, you don't know when it's over, so to speak, when the limbs are going to stop falling and breaking and causing issues.
City crews are also recommending you just stay home, stay inside during and right after the storm. They're asking folks not to get out on the road and sightsee, only leave your house for emergency reasons.
Alma, thank you. Maybe you've seen this tree or similar ones still tangled in wire, not yet cleaned up. A viewer sent us this picture today from Lawndale and Lake Jeanette in Greensboro. She wondered why Duke Energy left the tree hanging like this. Well, I reached out to a Duke rep who told me this isn't a power line, otherwise the power would still be out. He says it's likely a cable or phone line. More evidence there's a lot of work left to do from the last storm.
Well, the roads could get icy and dangerous, and Triad crews are prepared. Greensboro has 16 salt trucks on standby and 11 clearing trucks assembled. They'll get right to work as soon as they are needed. Winston-Salem deployed its road crews earlier today. They sprayed brine on the streets downtown ahead of the storm. The city also opened emergency shelters tonight for the homeless. North Carolina DOT workers in Forsyth County will start their shifts at midnight. They got 10,000 tons of salt and 200,000 gallons of brine. They decided not to pre-treat the roads in case the initial rain washes it all away.
The ice is just much more difficult to deal with. I can't plow ice off the roadway, so I have to really rely on the salt and Mother Nature.
It has been a mad dash to gas stations, grocery and hardware stores to stock up on supplies. Check out this line of cars outside a propane shop on Randleman Road just south of Greensboro. Cars were coming from both directions to snag what was left.
Many shelves at hardware stores nearly empty. We heard from places like Ace Hardware, Lowe's and True Value. They say heating supplies are gone. They may not get generators or kerosene until next week. At last check, ice melt, chainsaws and shovels were still available. Grocery stores look pretty similar. Long lines at the checkout, bread and other essentials snatched up. The storm is just hours away. The time to get groceries and other supplies has passed. So what can you do right now?
There are a few simple ways to keep your home warm if and when the power goes out. First, close interior doors to avoid wasting any heat. Close blinds and curtains. Then stuff towels in the cracks under the doors. That'll keep the heat in. And wear a few extra layers like sweatshirts and other loose-fitting clothing. Finally, eat and drink water and avoid caffeine and alcohol.
Come tomorrow, one of the most dangerous places to be is on the road. If you absolutely have to leave, heed this advice from a Triad police officer.
It's important to not lose sight that everybody that's out on the road has somebody that loves them and cares about them and is trying to get somewhere as well to conduct their own personal business. And really what goes into everything is a little less thought about ourselves and a lot more thought about everybody else.
It's really that simple. Follow the golden rule. Treat others how you want to be treated. Stoplights, they will go out. Branches will block streets. Practice the patience you want to see from others.
Stay at home, wait it out. Don't leave the house if you don't have to. It's up to all of us to keep each other safe through all phases of this storm.
Very good advice. You know, part of this, of course, is just, well, Tim, how much am I going to get? Yeah, that's part of it, and we'll talk about that coming up. But I also want to let you know some of the things that worry me. One of the things is that it'll be a little windy tomorrow morning. We'll talk about these gusts, what it could mean with trees and already wet ground, plus how things are looking after the storm passes. What Friday and your weekend is looking like. Your full ice storm forecast is next.
There is growing concern as the search continues for a 14-year-old girl who disappeared from Davidson County. Tonight, hear from her family desperate to get her home.
Plus, North Carolina lawmakers continue their debate over a bill to bring students back to the classroom. Why Governor Cooper isn't sure he'll sign it. That's next.